you done now?
As they said in the film, Back to the Future, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brad Gilmore Show on demand, and welcome to Back to the Future, the podcast. It is a simulcast today because we have a special guest who's joining me on the show today, who I am thrilled to have back on Back to the Future, the podcast, but more importantly, for the first time on the Brad Gilmore Show on demand. I have the one and only, and I mean that, the one and only Claudia Wells, a.k.a. Jennifer Parker from Back to the Future Part 1. She joins me on the show. She has an upcoming Comic-Con that's going to be a big deal in her native North California. And so she came on the show, wanted to talk about that, wanted to talk about some of the incredible experiences she's had with this franchise that we all know and love, Back to the Future Part 1. Couple things here before we get to our interview. Coming up on October the 21st, which is of course Future Day 2018, I will be competing in the Back to the Future Rundown Schmodown. Is going to crown the very first Back to the Future Rundown Schmodown champion. The title is on the line. It is me versus Frank Jenga Janish. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be dropping on Collider Podcast Network on October 21st. It's going to be a video. It's hosted by William Bibbiani, who's the current Movie Trivia Schmodown singles champion, and it's going to be hosted by Robert Meyer Burnett. Very, very awesome thing that we're going to get to participate in. I'm excited. I'm expecting a victory, ladies and gentlemen. If I do not get a victory, I'm going to be very upset. Before we get to the interview, last thing I want to say is today, of course, is 9/11, September the 11th, 17 years ago. That incredible tragedy, I shouldn't even say incredible, that awful tragedy occurred on U.S. soil in New York City. I was in third grade at the time. I still remember sitting next to my friend Marcel Hernandez, and we saw kids kept getting out early by their parents. They were coming and picking them up early, and we didn't know what was going on. I went to Edgar Allan Poe Elementary School. And I was in Miss Moore's third grade class, and they used to bring these little green sheets. If you were getting out early, it'd have like a little clock on it, which I think is appropriate for Back to the Future. It'd have a little clock on it, and you knew you were getting out early. And everyone kept getting out early, and I turned to Marcel. I was like, "Oh, this must be get out early day." And it ended up, being a more than that. My grandparents showed up at the door, and I asked them, "Hey, why am I getting out early?" And they said, well, there's been an attack on the Twin Towers. My grandfather said that. He said the Twin Towers were bombed. I didn't know what that meant. I'd never heard of the Twin Towers. I had never, I wasn't really familiar with the gravity of the situation. I was so young. But I still remember vividly sitting on their front porch on Bonnie Brace Street in Houston, Texas, and watching their old Magnavox Square television. And watching, the footage of the planes flying into the building, and God be with all the victims of that horrendous tragedy and their families. I saw WWE's Selena Vega, also known as Thea Trinidad, put out a video with her and Renee Young that was just incredibly heartbreaking. Her father was in the Twin Towers. I put that on my Twitter feed. I encourage everyone to go look at it and send her a word about it. But anyway, I just wanted to say, obviously we will never forget that incredible tragedy that occurred on that day. And, I just wanted to say my piece about it. So with that being said, and I'm going to transition as tactfully as I can, we're excited, though, to have Claudia Wells on the show today. She's also going to be participating in the 80s Cruise, which sounds very fun. She's going to be doing that, I believe, March 2nd through the 9th. That's the 80s Cruise. You can go to the 80s Cruise, the 80scruise.com for more information about that. It's called The Ultimate Party. Don't miss the 80s Cruise. That's the 80scruise.com. Make sure you go check out Claudia Wells, as well as Dee Snider and many other people are going to be on that same cruise. So should be a lot of fun. I appreciate y'all for taking the time to kick it with me here on the Brad Gilmore Show on demand. And we're going to throw it over to my interview with the one and only Claudia Wells from Back to the Future. Enjoy. Claudia Wells joins me right now by phone here on the Brad Gilmore Show, KILT 610 AM. Claudia, how you doing?
I'm doing terrifically great. How are you doing, Bradley?
I am doing wonderful. Thanks for coming on the show. You got a big con going down this Sunday, the San Mateo Con at the San Mateo Fairgrounds on the 16th of September. Exciting times. Now, what is Jennifer Parker, aka Claudia Wells? What do you like the most about these Comic Cons?
I absolutely love meeting fans. They are so kind and precious, and this one is really, really special to my heart. It's the San Mateo Comic Con. It's on a Sunday, which is a really big deal for me. I'm actually missing church to go, but it's in San Mateo, which is in Northern California. I've not done anything in Northern California, and I'm a Northern Californian girl. I'm a fourth-generation San Franciscan. So this is a big, big deal for me to be going. I'm flying out early Sunday morning, going straight to the show, and I really, really want everyone to try and come out there and see me, and I'm going to be going there and then going to San Francisco the next day and having dinner with my daddy and my moi, who also very, very special to me. But please, all the Back to the Future fans, come out. I will be there from 11 to 5 p.m. It's the San Mateo Comic-Con, and I'm going to be bringing my clock tower flyers, and I signed the back. It's the original flyer directly from the movie, and I've got pictures, and I'm going to do videos, shout-outs, and they've got a professional photographer to do that whole whoozy, shoozy thing, and it's going to be really cool.
Well, I'm sure that these things are a blast for you, especially now it's in your backyard, San Mateo, California. My brothers right now, they're in Chico, California, so they're Northern Californians as well. So I feel connected to that part of the country, even though I'm down here in Texas. At these cons, though, what are some of the strangest stories that have happened? I'm sure that you've seen wedding proposals done in front of you, themed Back to the Future. I know you said did you say one time that you met somebody at your store who they changed their names legally to Marty and Jennifer?
Actually, their names, I don't know if they were legally changed, but at least twice, I've met people named Marty and Jennifer who were married. They got married to each other, and they were named Marty and Jennifer. Right now, I just closed my store, and I'm almost going to go pick up my kitty cat at the vet. But today, I had a fan in from Germany visiting me at my store. And then separately, I had a fan, Paolo, from Italy, visiting me at my store. And I was dressing this fabulous new musician named Alex in between signing autographs for Paolo. And then, I can't pronounce his name. It started with a Y. He's one of my Instagram fans. He came in, and I was signing autographs for him. And he was all the way from Germany visiting me at my store. And then I had a Facebook friend come in for me to dress him today at my store.
You're busy.
Oh, my goodness. And then Ben Vereen and one of my other customers, who's a Grammy Award nominated and musician, came in at the same time as Alex, who's an up-and-coming new musician. This was all just today in my store. I have fans who fly in from all over the world to meet me in my store. So I've become like a Back to the Future location spot where people can find me, it's beautiful. I mean, it was very funny because I'm like dressing Alex in between signing autographs. I'm like, hang on one sec. So it was, and then my best buddy Fergie shows up, and his DeLorean is parked on the side street. So I got to take Paolo around the corner and do a picture with him in front of a DeLorean.
I'm sure that made his day. Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually owns the DeLorean in Italy. So that was just like another normal day at Armani Wells in Studio City. Literally. That was just a Tuesday.
How is the store going? I'm sure. I want to ask you this actually. It's been now almost 3 years since Future Day, back in 2015, on October 21st, 2015. How was that day and that whole period for you? I mean, I know that Back to the Future was the biggest thing again in 2015. Were sales up at Armani Wells? Were you having visitors every single day during that period? How was that period back in 2015?
Let's just put it this way. I flew from Australia straight to, Los Angeles. Oh, my goodness, I've driven too far now to pick up my kitty cat. I flew from Australia to Los Angeles, changed from, in the airport, I went from one area of the airport to a different area of the airport, got onto a plane, flew to New York, went to my hotel, got a few hours sleep, then did hair and makeup, and went to the event that they had in New York for the 2015. I had been doing a worldwide tour of events all over the world, doing appearances, and I did speaking engagements, and I headlined a show in South America. I was in Tokyo. I was in probably 8 or 10 different states. I was in Washington, D.C. doing a film event. I don't even know. I'd have to look at my calendar to really...
It seems like you're around the world and back again.
I'd go through, I don't know, my Facebook posts or Instagram posts. When I was being invited to do all of these different shows, I wasn't really calculating jet lag or the fact that I'm an actual human being, not a machine. I was so intrigued and enthralled with being invited to these fabulous locations, Paris and the south of France and Japan and Australia and, then jumping to Florida and South America and New York. It was just crazy. It was fun and fabulous, but I really wasn't remembering that your body gets exhausted from jet lag and different things like that. But, it was incredible and extreme and beautiful and lovely. And then I'd come to LA and work to keep my store going and keep the merchandise going and sales and things like that. It was just a lot to take on. So now I keep things very, smooth and careful, and my store is my utter and complete focus. And then I do the occasional show, like I'm doing San Mateo, and in March I'm going to be a celebrity host for the 80s cruise, which is going to be a fantastic cruise, which I want everyone to get tickets to go on. It's leaving from Florida and going to Cozumel and Belize and these fantastic ports. It's March 2nd through the 10th, the 9th or the 10th. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And they've got Dee Snider and Kenny Loggins and this Tiffany and just this incredible 80s cruise lineup. So really look into that. I'm just being very, very selective. I actually don't even do U.S. shows anymore. That's why this San Mateo show is such a big deal to me. I do shows, in other countries that are just magnificent places to travel to. And the rest of the time I am completely, totally focused on my store, Armani Wells, in Studio City. It's been 27 years since I opened it when I was 25 years old, and it's my absolute darling. And that's why it's such a blessing to me that fans can find me there. And that's where I am, and that's what I love to do, and that's where I love to be.
No, and I understand you found that passion project, and you've put everything that you can into it, and I think it's definitely paid off for you. I got to come by the store next time. I'm going to be in LA in a couple of months. I got to stop in because I love dressing nice, and I know that Claudia Wells would definitely hook it up and make me look like a movie star. So I definitely got to come see that. One more question though for you. Before we get you out of here, and it's, of course, again, the San Mateo Comic-Con going down this Sunday, September the 16th. You can get tickets. We're going to tweet the link out for you, but it's going to be at the San Mateo Fairgrounds, and that is 2495 South Delaware, San Mateo, California. You can go to SouthCityComicCon.com to get tickets for it. But my last question is, and I found this out, there was a book that was put out by a guy named Cassine Gaines, and he put out a book called We Don't Need Roads. Okay, yes, I'm sure you were interviewed for it or you've seen it. And there was something...
I was interviewed for it.
Yeah, well, there was something I learned in there about you that I did not know. I always thought that you were cast for the film for the entirety of the film. I did not know that you weren't there during the Eric Stoltz period of filming. So were you cast and then let go because you had a pilot for another television pilot, and then when they recast the Marty McFly role is when you came back on? Is that right?
I wasn't let go, actually. I was cast, and then I had to. The let go part sounds like I was fired. I was cast, and then
you had to drop out because you had another TV show.
Yeah. Unfortunately, ABC wouldn't share me with Amblin. The pilot Off the Rack with Ed Asner and Eileen Brennan that I was one of the stars of, it got picked up to be a TV series, and I was supposed to do it at the same time as Back to the Future. They hadn't expected that it would get picked up. So ABC wouldn't share me, but because Off the Rack was my original commitment, I had to back out of doing Back to the Future. So even though I was cast with Eric Stoltz, or when Eric Stoltz was cast, because he filmed and then didn't end up completing, when they cast Michael, I was then available, and the girl that they had cast in my part was too tall, according to, different people's opinions. So she was let go, and I was rehired. So I got my part again, and then I got to be Back to the Future's Jennifer Parker, which I just so grateful for, and I consider it one of the greatest blessings, truly, of my life. It's affected my life in such a beautiful, current way. I am tickled pink about it, and every day, Back to the Future affects my life. And every day, the love from different fans all over the world continuously affects my life. And even my charity, Kids in the Spotlight, we help foster kids. And because of Back to the Future, I get to have a tangible effect on, even with the charity. It's just amazing how it affects everything I do on such a beautiful level. I don't take any of it for granted. I really don't. I really appreciate it.
It would have been crazy, if they continued to go with Eric Stoltz, and then, none of this would have happened. But I guess, and you've alluded to that you're a church-going woman, like I am a religious person as well, and sometimes I think that God is just at work, and we know that He works in mysterious ways, and I think it was preordained. It was your destiny, or your density, if you will, to be in that film.
I agree. It has to be, because you know what? Goonies was down to me and one or two other girls. Gremlins was down to me and one other two. I never know whether it's either one or two other girls winning screen tests, and also young Sherlock Holmes. So by the time Back to the Future was one audition, and I got the part.
Exactly. It just seems like it was definitely your destiny to be in that and to portray the role of Jennifer Parker. Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show, the Brad Gilmore Show here on KILT 16 AM. I appreciate you for stopping by and for doing that little video for me as well. And make sure that if y'all want to keep up with Claudia Wells, go to ClaudiaWells.com. She's got that incredible store, Armani Wells, located there in Studio City. And make sure you check her out this Sunday at the San Mateo Comic-Con. September the 16th, that's this Sunday at the San Mateo Fairgrounds. You can get tickets at SouthCityCon.com. Claudia, thank you so much for taking the time.
I appreciate it, and I accidentally just cut off a policeman, and he was very nice not to pull me over. So, amen and hallelujah. My goodness. Okay.
Thank you so much, Claudia. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Of course, that was the amazing Claudia Wells joining me here on the Brad Gilmore Show on Demand. And I wanted to share this. After we hung up from the phone, she gave me a call right back, and she had something else that she wanted to say. And, obviously I'm from the South. I grew up in a Baptist church, so, God's always on my mind. and I'm a religious, I guess, more spiritual person. But she called back in to deliver us this little word. So I wanted to check this out. I recorded it. This is Claudia Wells calling back in for just a little message.
You know what's cool? You mentioned religious. I like to think of myself as spiritual, and when you're saying about density, you're absolutely right, because I live on the verse Romans 8:48, and it's all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. And I totally live on that. It's all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. So you're absolutely right.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. You know, spiritual religion, you know, it's definitely something that I think everyone has that guiding light in their life, and I think it's up to everyone to find it. You know, I found it down here in Texas. You know, my grandmother, you know, put me in Baptist school real early, so, you know, the Lord's always guided me in the right way, and I appreciate you sharing those words.
You got it.
All right, well, you have a good one, Claudia. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Once again, we want to thank Claudia Wells for coming on the show. Make sure you check her out at the South City Comic-Con in San Mateo, California, on the San Mateo Fairgrounds this Sunday, September the 16th. Save the clock tower and go see Claudia Wells do it like it's supposed to be done at the South City Comic-Con in San Mateo, California. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Brad Gilmore Show and Back to the Future, the podcast. Until next time, I'm Brad Gilmore, and I'll see you in the future.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?